And now the next speaker is Mr. Jouman, who is the Head Environment Iskandar Regional Development Authority. And Boyd has been very supportive and enthusiastic of the Green Talks as a platform to encourage business to go green. So I would like to say a big thank you to Boyd as well as Michelle Yu's team from IRDA. Boyd is a town and country planner with 35 experience in environmental planning and management. He obtained his town planning degree at the South Bank University, London, and worked in the UK for over 20 years, where he was a member of the Royal Town Planning Institute and the Urban Design Group. While at IRDA, he was involved in the preparation and now implementation of the Low Carbon Society Blueprint for Iskandar Malaysia, as well as several other blueprints related to the environment and green economy. He also oversees the implementation of various urban assessment tools and the monitoring of the greenhouse gases emission of Iskandar Malaysia. At this very first Green Talk event, Boyd will share insights on the bigger picture with his presentation, Green Economy, Green Growth.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Boyd Wesley. My email, if you need to contact me. I'm very much working on this thing because it's something very, very important to my heart, really. Because it's, like Tim was saying, I'm an environmentalist. First, I'm actually a town planner, and I've studied town planning, obviously, in the UK, and architecture. And then I'm more of an environmentalist. I'm probably just always have been an environmentalist anyway, because I want to do something for the environment. And I think everybody knows here, and may have heard this. I'm sorry for those who have heard it before, but I keep saying this. We only have one planet, and we have to look after it very well. Otherwise, we won't be here now. It's not as if tomorrow we can go to the moon or somewhere else and just fly and say, okay, forget about Earth. Anyway, anyone's seen the movie called Wall-E? Yeah? It's good. The opening scene, robot, Earth, full of rubbish, you put it together, crunch it, and then throw it out, and then make mountain out of that. And then all of us sit wonderfully, comfortably in another world, another place, in a spaceship, and getting bigger and bigger. Like me, it's, when I started IRDA 10 years ago, I'm quite slim. My mom tells me that, are you sick? Malaysians, right? Are you sick? But then I said, and when I got a bit more filled up, she said, oh, you must be happy. So, like, for me, it's like my wife saying, no, you want to be slimmer. Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. But I want to tell everyone about this wonderful topic called green economy, green growth. I'll just stand here because some of us have our nicer way of where we want to be. Very much, as you can see there, the green of the environment. And of course, this is Sungai Pulai. Everybody knows that place, I guess. And it's one of our 3 Ramsar sites. I mentioned that because 3 Ramsar sites in Iskandar Malaysia. And there's only 7 in the whole of Malaysia. So we are quite lucky. And for this purpose, we are using that as a carbon sink. So we want to keep it as it is. Otherwise, we're going to lose out one day. And then if we lost them, that's not so good for Malaysia. We'll be one of the first countries in the world that lost their Ramsar, which are of international wetland status. So very important, which I'll make up later on. But very much my topic today is about the Low Carbon Society Blueprint. For those of you who have heard this before, thank you. And for those who haven't, I hope that you learned something from this one, because it's a very important piece of document that we are implementing now. We have something like 281 programs. We've done about 50 plus. One of these programs is like this talk, for example, which is reaching out to people and working very closely with you guys, and especially with, in this case, with Dr. Gerard from Sunway, who thankfully gave us this venue, very good venue, by the way, and I got lost, so that's what we did. And of course, Zureli, who provided a platform for us in the sense of reaching out to everyone, how we can work together online, and by doing that, bringing everyone here. And for IRDA, it's very much just to facilitate this event. So it means that we kind of 3-in-1 win, if you like, which means that you guys can get to know each other and work together. But the very fact that you're here means you are looking at something green from your own perspective, as well as for your own companies and from your own resources. So thank you for being here. I hope that this will be a session that we get to know really well and to see what is happening in Iskandar Malaysia. Okay, this is what we do: plan, promote, facilitate. We don't actually implement projects so much in that sense, but we facilitate this kind of event. Of course, we've already planned because we have what's called a comprehensive development plan, which we are using to develop Iskandar Malaysia. If you were here 10 years ago and now, it's very, very different. I started here in 2008, literally the beginning of Iskandar Malaysia. The documents were done in 2005, I think. 2008, I came here, I went through Sinai, very small airport, it's different now. I went through Sinai and I thought, is this JB? I never been to JB, by the way. I tend to jump in from Singapore right up to KL, that kind of thing. So when I came to Johor, I told my wife, is this Johor Bahru? It looks very small. Of course, it's Sinai. And then when we got to Johor Bahru, I thought, yeah, it's not bad. It's fairly big. And then we keep, comparing. Because I'm from Sabah, by the way, and I keep saying, oh, but KK is bigger than in Johor. So there you go. That's I'm still thinking the same. However, strangely enough, KK is developing really well, and it's actually some properties that are more expensive than Iskandar. I was asking Gerard earlier. It's actually some condos in KK are more expensive, which is quite interesting. I can't afford it, by the way, anyway, so there you go. Sorry, Gerard. Anyway, we also promote, promoting is important because if it gets to a point where we go with our minister, our new minister, by the way, of MITI, International Trade Industry, and our colleagues at MIDA and federal government, we go with them when they go on their trade missions. So that's when we promote Iskandar Malaysia. If it's a point where you think it's a good idea for you guys to come with us, let us know. We might be able to bring you with the entourage from the government and with us to go, because we go, IRDA, by the way, we go to different countries all over the world, by the way, and we do that, we promote you guys in those international contexts. So at some point, if you want to do that, let us know, especially Michelle, who's in here somewhere. She is what's called the Economics and Investment Division. They deal a lot with that and promote you at international level. So if you get a chance, please come and see us. So this is very much our vision: strong, sustainable metropolis with international standing. That's what Iskandar Malaysia's vision is for this area. By the way, all of you, I'm assuming, know Iskandar Malaysia? Yeah? Okay, lagan. Actually, it stretched from the Kukup Island, which is in the Malacca Straits, right up to Sungai Johor, north to Sedenak, and south, where we are now, literally next to Singapore. It's three times the size of Singapore. So it's a huge place. Very exciting piece of work for me to do, of course, for my team as well, and for everyone in Iskandar. And this is it. This is part of the excitement, working with you guys, because you are actually the vehicle that drives what is going to happen, what is happening in Iskandar Malaysia. Okay, so this is very important. It's about green economy, which we thought about 10 years back. And what you want to do is green growth. That's what the vision is all about being sustainable, and of course, great metropolis that we're making it at the moment. Metropolis doesn't mean that you're going to make it all buildings. If you go to Tokyo, it's 32 million people, bigger than the whole population of Malaysia, and 32 cities. We don't want that. It's too big and it's too huge to manage, if you like. We want it to be a connection between green, as we've shown in the first picture, to what you see now. And the way that Sunway Iskandar is doing it, it's working with the green elements that are surrounding them. So we don't want to destroy those as we develop. We want to work with the environment, and we want to work with the actual landscape that you are in, because that's your asset. People come because of that. When, I keep digressing on this, but when Hershey came to Iskandar Malaysia, they have a factory near the airport. When they came, they wanted to see how green it is, and because they are a very green company. So I briefed them and said, this is our low carbon society blueprint. If you do your development in this sense, super. So then, even 5 years back, when we adopted the low carbon society blueprint, we said, any development or developer that are going to spew a lot of carbon into the atmosphere or polluting the environment, we don't want you, even if you're giving us 10 billion worth of investment. We want clean environment, so we want to pledge to the government and to every one of you that this is our approach. So through this document here on the left, Low Carbon Society Blueprint, we launched this in Doha. So globally we told everyone, this is what Iskandar Malaysia is all about, that's what we want to do. And from one of the things within this, of course, is the green economy, which we are pursuing, and the reason why you are here. Because we want to tell you that this is Iskandar's approach. If you go by this, we can really work together, and we can develop this region very, very well. So with this blueprint, we launched that, we internationalized it. I remember the former ambassador of Japan to Malaysia saying, okay, now that you have globally launched this document, you must implement it. So that was our challenge. But actually, after that, my division was created to propel and actually implement this LCS blueprint. Our focus is to really reduce our carbon emissions, even as we develop. Because when we develop, there's a lot going on. Buildings, electricity, cars, everything. But wouldn't it be wonderful if we can at the same time reduce our carbon emissions as we develop? That's the whole point of the story. So from an intensity point of view, 58% reductions. From an absolute point of view, 40%. And later on, I'm going to say that we have so far reduced our emissions in 2016 by 10.7% out of 58. So it's not bad. So we are doing some really good work. If you guys can do the same bandwagon, if you like, you could help us reduce that even further. But of course, it's the first talk that we're doing, and of course, Zureli and Sunway will help us to promote even more. So other companies will come next time, and the more involvement, the better as we go. But we have what's called 12 actions, big labels. We group them into green economy, green community, green environment, and in this context, we're able to reduce our carbon emission reductions. Not so much in this one, I guess, but this is the context. Internationally, we look at, of course, the UNFCCC. We look at climate change. At COP21 in Paris, we looked at and adhere to this understanding that the planet shouldn't increase in terms of temperature. Because the hotter it gets, more problems we're going to face. Not our generation, of course, but in 100 years' time, when our children and children's children are going to be there, they're going to face some very hot weather. Everybody knows about like Japan is hotter than before, a few months back. Of course, more storms, things like that, but I won't go into it. So Malaysia-wise, of course, there's a pledge on reducing our carbon emissions by 45% by 2030. We followed suit with that with our document. This is the one that we launched in Bonn during COP23. Over there, we told everyone that we have reduced our emissions by 10%. So we've done a full cycle from development right up to tracking our carbon emissions. And of course, we did one step further. We produced a blueprint for Iskandar itself, region, and then we went to each of the local authority for which you guys might be working with directly. They have their own action plan to implement, and they also track their carbon emissions, working closely with Iridala. So I'm just showing you some of the projects that we have implemented. CASB is an important tool in terms of assessing buildings. If you get this is similar to GBI, but GBI is more of a branding issue because they don't track it afterwards. They give you a platinum and that's it. CASB, if you get that one, in 2 years later, we're going to reassess you. If you fail to deliver, what you've pledged to do, if you like, then we take out a certification. So you have to start all over again, literally. Gaia is kind of working together with this. Gaia is called the Green Accord Initiative Award. It's done by IRDA to promote green development as well as companies that really promote green agenda. For example, Zureli could be qualified with this. Of course, Somewhere itself, several others. There's been recipient on this, but we're very clever in the sense that if you have CASB, you have GBI, Green Mark, BREEAM, that is your degree, your first degree. To get Gaia is a PhD. You have to work harder. Which means if you qualify here, you might still fail to get a Gaia certificate. Gaia, by the way, can then take you even further because you can use that and claim that when you go branding online, as well as when you go to your overseas or local promotions. You can actually say, I've got Gaia certificate. And it's well recognized within Iskandar, but it's gaining ground because DBKL, City Hall, have their own local design blueprint. They followed ours. They're going to implement Gaia. Putrajaya is implementing Gaia. The other one is Kota Kinabalu, my city. They're also going to implement that soon. So we've done some good work on that now. So which means it's a good platform that you guys can use. My colleague here, Ong, is the person in charge of this particular two projects, CASB and Gaia. Please talk to him, and then he can let you become one of the participants for next year. Not easy to get because it's a PhD. A lot of those that claim to be green, I'm a green company, I'm a green developer, when we test them through CASB and Gaia, in a sense they fail. They didn't meet the requirements, the high standard requirements that we looked at. This is, the benchmark is cities like Tokyo, for example. Very, very high standard that we are trying to achieve. Because we have an ultimate story on this, because one day with Gaia and CASB, we want buildings like Sunway, for example, to be part of what's called cap and trade. This is, instead of cap and trade between countries, we cap and trade between cities and the buildings within the city. So if your building satisfies the requirements, you could actually trade carbon with another city. At the moment, it's only Tokyo. So we can work closely with them, and then we can help you, we can facilitate that. I won't go through all of this, but just to remember that these are the things that we are doing. Some of you may be involved on this already anyway. For example, I mentioned earlier, this one I've already talked about. We're going to Katowice in Poland in December and tell more stories. One of the things I want to bring there is this talk, by the way, Tim, because I think it's a great platform that we can share to say from our side. Of course, we are kind of we're saying that this is one of the things that IRDA is doing at local level, reaching out to everyone, working with companies and working with agencies that are involved. So we want to be able to share some of these ideas with you guys. So if you don't mind, we might come to you directly and ask for some information. Because we want to put it in a booklet and say, these companies are involved in this story. So this is the crunch of what I'm going to talk about. This is one of the 201 programs called the Green Economy Guidelines. This one is really important because it's we focus it on 9 sectors that Iskandar Malaysia is promoting for the region. So we looked at anything from advisory to logistics, education, electronics and engineering, all those things. So there are 9 documents. And of course, each of you here will have a connection to each one of those documents at least. If you are in the health sector, there is a GEG on that. But our role here is to advise. We hold seminars like this one, the green talks that we're doing today, through Invest Iskandar Malaysia. Any of you attended the one in February this year? Sorry, October, last year. It's a wonderful platform, and I encourage you guys to be part of that and possibly give a talk. I'm hoping that Tim will do a talk in that particular session. And of course, we go with MIDA for the missions, and we have projects under this particular grouping, which we are going to do. One is green ports. How do we green our ports? Industrial symbiosis, which is essentially if you have never heard of it, it's like, imagine one company's byproduct or their waste can be used as a resource by another company. And that company goes on. So essentially, if you have 10, it becomes a big story. So this is the whole idea. So basically, this is it. Green opportunities. I'm just going to say all of this: energy, land, transport, housing. All of these are relevant to you guys, and something you can work with and work on. So these are the 9 sectors. What we're looking at in terms of how we can work together in this sense. So very much, these are the work we're doing. Incentives about greening businesses, about having hubs, and working closely with all entities, especially agencies and businesses. So benefits are all there. By the way, we can give you a copy of this to read more later. But very much about climate change, inclusiveness, and a very strong green policy that will help each of us, as well as help Iskandar Malaysia prosper. So I've already spoken on this one, which is to reduce our emissions. And we tracked right up to this point, and we have done our 10.8% reductions. So very much, this is my last slide, telling you about the importance of political will, which we have, involvement of your side, funding, as well as what we can do together to ensure that we can really do something about it. So thank you for listening. I hope it's I think it's slightly longer than expected, but I hope that it gives you an idea of what we plan to do. Please come back if you need to. Thank you very much. Thank you guys.